As the sunlight breaks through the grief that blankets our nation, I bow my head in solemn reflection, not only as a former cabinet minister, but as one who walked, saved, and lent under the steady and humble leadership of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. His passing is not just the loss of a former head of state. It is the silence of a heart that beat for the people. A heart that, though often misunderstood, remained anchored in service, compassion, and peace. President Lungu not only led with a loud declaration, but with quiet resolve. At a time when politics around the world grew bitter and divisive, he stood firm, not in arrogance, but in grace. He taught us that leadership is not about the spotlight, but about bearing the weight of a nation with dignity and restraint. He bore that weight for you, for me, for Zambia. I was privileged to serve under his administration. I watched firsthand his deep concern for the ordinary Zambian, the farmer in the field, the youth seeking opportunity, the mother building a home, marketeers, and all that needed his hand. He never merely chased leadership, but leadership chose him, as can be testified at his first election in 2015. An anointed son of the soil to bear burdens of the people. He did not fight for himself, he fought for Zambia. And now on this day, we do not mourn as a people without hope. We remember that a life poured out in service is never lost. It is planted. And from it grows courage, unity, and a renewed call for us all to live lives that matter. To the family, I offer my prayers. To the nation, I pray for unity, love, and peace to honor his legacy. Let us honor him, not just with words, but with action. Let us be leaders in our homes, in our communities, in our hearts. Let us choose peace. Let us choose unity. Let us carry Zambia and our dreams together. Rest well, Your Excellency. Your journey on earth is complete, but your legacy marches on. God bless Zambia as we mourn. Thank you.
Patriotic trust, that they should forget about Lungu. He's not coming back as president. It will not happen. Never happen. I hear Edgar Chagwa Lungu was saying, whether Againde wants or whoever wants, Edgar Lungu will be on the ballot. Well, if they want, they can print their own ballot papers. They can go and print and vote on their own outside the law. It will not stop them. But if they want to vote for president for the Republic of Zambia, they have to follow the law. And the law has been put very clear. It's not us. That decision that was made on the 10th should have been the decision that was passed by the court in 2020. So let them forget. Ati ushikuru iyo bamukenye wali bawudaza yero bebe tilubindi eba kabiri bidibe nshidazika kuli lubindi ati mutwe byo tutima pati twabo mtwa matongo don ukweba uyu munenzu Lungu ali shingelulu jake mine kona buti kali vita ati balubinda balima apasweka nokutira nangula bahagainde balefwaya ba UPNG balefwaya ifo yiwine chapo na Lungu leo tukembini abaminista batira bulyo obupingu shitebwa UPNG lupapulo lwalandi ati ababenda nga balefwaya kandi bali berere byakupona pona kuti bayabula tulyoti mapepala abene balemba bashira ngula panshi bayabota mukuhuta mumadonko yabo yena limbi kuti anina nokubakateka. Chairman, I've seen that we
Masala kusi aseo tulila
As the sunlight breaks through the grief that blankets our nation, I bow my head in solemn reflection, not only as a former cabinet minister, but as one who walked, served, and leant under the steady and humble leadership of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. His passing is not just the loss of a former head of state. It is the silence of a heart that beat for the people. A heart that, though often misunderstood, remained anchored in service, compassion, and peace. President Lungu not only led with a loud declaration, but with quiet resolve. At a time when politics around the world grew bitter and divisive, he stood firm, not in arrogance, but in grace. He taught us that leadership is not about the spotlight, but about bearing the weight of a nation with dignity and restraint. He bore that weight for you, for me, for Zambia. I was privileged to serve under his administration. I watched firsthand his deep concern for the ordinary Zambian, the farmer in the field, the youth seeking opportunity, the mother building a home, marketeers, and all that needed his hand. He never merely chased leadership, but leadership chose him, as can be testified at his first election in 2015. An anointed son of the soil to bear burdens of the people. He did not fight for himself, he fought for Zambia. And now on this day, we do not mourn as a people without hope. We remember that a life poured out in service is never lost. It is planted. And from it grows courage, unity, and a renewed call for us all to live lives that matter. To the family, I offer my prayers. To the nation, I pray for unity, love, and
Good day and welcome to today's program and today's daily updates on the funeral of the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, Zambia's 6th president of the Republic of Zambia. Today was a somber day for our colleagues resident in South Africa, for the Zambian community resident in South Africa. They had requested the family that they needed to have a required mass for President Edgar Lungu. They say it is tradition amongst South Africa. I was privileged to be Zambia's ambassador to South Africa, Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa. And indeed, it is a tradition. Even as far back as when Anderson Mazoka died, the Zambian community then, held a service for him. So I think the family was encouraged and accorded this opportunity to the Zambian community in South Africa, that prior to the departure of the mortal remains of the former president, that a church service must be held. I'm very grateful to the following for pulling this off at such a short notice. I think our program just began to firm up only on Sunday. If you saw the service that was held at the Sacred Heart cathedral in Pretoria, in Swane. This is the Cathedral of Pretoria. The required mass was celebrated by Father Harrison Mlenga, a stigmatine father. He brought together other Zambians to help him, other Zambian cleric to help him. So there was Father Peter Banda, who's a pastoral coordinator of Lusaka, from Lusaka Archdiocese. Thank you very much, Father Peter Banda. He traveled all the way to Pretoria to be part of this historical service for President Edgar Lungu. There is Father Kefas Muwanga, who's also a stigmatine father, who actually is resident in Pretoria, who was with Father Harrison Mlenga there. There's Father Clement Mwene. I think Father Clement Mwene is a Dominican priest. There was Father Wilbrod Mlenga. There was Brother Eugene Chengwa. There was Brother Obakeng Innocent from South Africa. And thank you very much to Beauty Mtonga. Beauty Mtonga was married to Chimwemwe Mtonga. Many of you would know these are a family of bankers. Chimwemwe used to work for Stanchart, Zambia, then he was promoted and was resident in South Africa. And his spouse, Beauty, was working for Barclays at the time, also began to work for Barclays in Pretoria. So Beauty, about 2 years ago, lost Chimwemwe, and it was, 3-4 years ago, sorry. And it was a very, very difficult period for all of us. But Beauty coordinates the choir. You must have seen many people asking, did the choir come from Zambia? No, the choir didn't come from Zambia. So Beauty Mtonga and other colleagues of ours have what they call the St. Peter Zambian Catholic Community Choir. St. Peter Zambian Catholic Community Choir. So every time you have a national event, there's a Zambian event, or there's a funeral, or there's celebration, there's a consecration of maybe newly born babies from Zambian community, the St. Peter Zambian Catholic Community, I think, to reminisce and give it a Zambian flavor, always participate in those activities. So Beauty, thank you very much for the work you did, and for ZASA, the Secretary General was there, and others, and for the many Zambian community. I was warmed by the number of Zambians and members of the Patriotic Front that traveled just between, just yesterday and today, led by the Vice President, Honorable Given Lubinda, and other members of the Central Committee. There are others like Professor Nkandlu, Honorable Jean Kapata, Mama Sumaili, that have been with the former First Lady from the day we lost the president. They quickly abandoned everything they were doing and they left for South Africa, and they've been with Mama Esther Lungu since then. Before we delve into the details, let's just have a feel for those that didn't watch the service, how it was, who spoke at the service. So we'll do just some snippets on account of time, then we delve into the details.
Our mother, First Lady, Madam Esther Lungu, the Lungu family. Allow me to also acknowledge the clergy and also appreciate the sermon or homily for this morning. The Zambian community in South Africa, the PF members, critic of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, and we're having breakfast. And everybody took a very political route. Mamona, Valamituka, And President Lungu was quiet all the time. After all the criticism and some donation of celebration of the misfortune that had occurred, befallen that citizen, President Lungu said, I don't think the route you're suggesting is the right way to handle such matters. Before we talk about politics, that's a citizen who held a very high office. I have a duty to first of all secure that citizen. I have a duty to also protect the office that he held. Because it's not about the person, it's about the office. And to that effect, he made all the necessary phone calls and all that, and it solved a problem. For those of you, obviously from Zambia, you know the story. President Lungu always amazed us in how he looked at things and ultimately made decisions. Another gentleman who happened to have been cabinet minister was traversing the country, attempting to change the narrative, even to a point of wanting to change President Lungu's identity, and started calling him another name. When he was found in a precarious situation, President Lungu said, I have a duty, over and above the criticism and the malice, to take care of this citizen. It spoke to the virtues and values he embraced and held. When I was walking, coming to the podium, the choice of the picture, obviously, and looking at him and his piercing look, it personally challenged me. It's as if he's asking some questions, at least to me, because I know in privacy at one time he also expressed the fact that he frowned upon hypocrisy. He would always say privately that no matter what you do, don't ever be deceitful. One time we happened to have attended a funeral and
Mayo Bana Lungu and the Lungu family, the acting president and the extended family of the Patriotic Front, I stand on the protocols established. ECL, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, my president, our president, where are you? We were anxiously waiting for your return. We have so much work to do and needed your wise counsel. Many of us are still in denial. We keep asking, does offering yourself for public service mean signing a death warrant? Do we not work for our families? Why then would everything be taken away from you by men who too are working for their families? Who will look after your family now that you are no more? Lord, give the Lungu family comfort in the way only you can. My president, our president, no one can deny your works under your administration. Every good thing you did for our country speaks volumes about your character. Kind, gentle but firm, focused on development for the good of all Zambians, and I mean just that, all Zambians. You believed in everyone having a piece of the cake, no matter how small. For the children, you continued advocating for early childhood education, just like your predecessor, the late Michael Chilufyasata. May his soul rest in peace. For the youths, You spearheaded higher education, giving credence to the girl child through the establishment of more science, technology, engineering, and mathematics facilities, including constructing economic facility zones across the country to spearhead innovation and entrepreneurship for those in vocational training. For your peers, you encourage some, like farmers, with input support, the business community with tax and other incentives. Whatever they did, you provided an opportunity for them to grow. For the elderly, the disabled, and the vulnerable, you established an increase in social welfare facilities, including an increase in social cash transfer, amongst others. For your cabinet, you trusted us to do the right thing in order to serve the Zambians. For the economic development of the country, you touched on all sectors, especially on infrastructure, in your vision to make Zambia a worthy business destination in the SADC region, African continent, and in the world all over. You are not with us today. Many of us are still in denial. But your tangible deeds speak for you today and forever. No one, and I mean no one, can take that away from you, no matter what evil they enchant. We pray to God to give us forgiving hearts. Lord, we are hurting. We are hurting. Imitima na ilepuka. Twalali la shani bambi bachili bale sonso ba. Twalali la shani. Lesa wesu. Tupele mitima. Ia kwelela abale tubifya. ECL. You did not deserve to live without the dignity you rightly earned. We pray for your soul to rest in eternal peace. Go well, ECL. Go well.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was former Minister Sylvia Chalikosa. I've got other videos, but I think let's get on. We have a few of Honorable Vice President, who's acting President of the Patriotic Front, Given Winda, spoke. And then there was an insightful speech from Ambassador George Twala, who served as Zambia's High Commissioner, South Africa's High Commissioner to Zambia. And I'll play his video when I have an opportune time. He met the president just 2 weeks ago, and he says the president was very good. He was with Dr. Sishua, an academic who's a resident in South Africa. And he said, I was privileged to take the pictures that all of you saw, and they were the first pictures since January 2025. And he said, the man was jovial, very well, but it were the remarks that came from that interview. And Ambassador George Twala gave us some insights. I've put the speech on my page. You can download it and read it. And I think find time to pick his video and play snippets of what Ambassador George said. There was that sudden announcement at the end of the ceremony by family spokesperson, Honorable Makebi Zulu. Makebi Zulu has been a lawyer for a long time for the family. He also gave his own tribute. If you want to Scrabble, you see that video when I play. The ceremony was conducted by these celebrants I've talked about, but there was two gentlemen, Jonas Zimba and Chandaka Totowe, our Honorable MP for Wapula, who acted as directors of that ceremony. Thank you very much for the work you did, and we are just proud of all of you. We had our media team, Patrick, happy birthday to Patrick, who was filming that entire event, and I think we did a splendid job because what was delivered was quality and the nation watched. Now there is an issue. There is meat to be discussed. The announcement by Honorable Makebi Zulu that the remains that are scheduled to be repatriated tomorrow, Wednesday, 11th June 2025, will not be repatriated until a further date. And that set my phone ringing. What is it? What is it? What is it? That's a matter I would like to discuss. There was just one lapse. There's just one lapse. I am quick to admit when mistakes are made or lapses are made. In the church service were very, very important dignitaries. This is the government representatives and envoys of President Hakainde Hichilema. The secretary to cabinet was in that meeting, was in that church service. The two gentlemen that the president had assigned, the former vice president, Enoch Kavindele, and former secretary to cabinet and former Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa, Leslie Mbula, was in that meeting, and the entourage. Unfortunately, they were not recognized. It might speak to the tensions that have been existing, since President Edgar Lungu died. It could have been a lapse. I haven't spoken to the two directors of ceremonies, Jonas Zimba and Chandaka Toto, who hosted this event. And usually people would say, follow, I want to ride on the protocols earlier spoken to. I want to ride on the protocols earlier observed. In a ceremony like this, it's important that you acknowledge all parties. Yes, we are arguing and battling and fighting with government. Yes, we have grievances against President Hakainde Hichilema. Yes, there are issues. But when you meet as Zambians, and this was a neutral activity, the activity was hosted by our colleagues, the church, first of all, under the umbrella of the Zambia, South Africa, Zambians resident in South Africa Association, ZASA, and it had a lot of goodwill from the family. The First Lady herself, you saw, came, and the entire family came, members of the Central Committee, former ministers, and our acting Vice President. So I personally, I don't know the details, and I, being a diplomat, I quickly noticed that none of the speakers recognized the government delegation. But the Lord says, pray for your enemies. We have to pray for our enemies. We have to, look out for our neighbor. And we have to love our neighbors. And we have to love our enemies. That's what the Lord teaches us. So I think that was the only lapse. And Emmanuel Mwamba speaks the truth, verifies issues, and there, I said it. So as I was delayed to come to this program by a few minutes, because I was following up what's happening in South Africa. Currently, the family is locked up with the government delegation. Yesterday, a meeting took place, but it ended in a stalemate. Hence, the postponement of the repatriation of the remains of the late president. The meeting was... like it is, all of us have emotions at this stage. There were concerns around the persons sent, Honorable Enoch Kavindele and Honorable Leslie Mbula. I think we're not a good choice to be in that delegation, because they've recently been very vocal, very, very vitriolic attacks against the former president. President Lungu never responded he let us respond. But these things affect the family. They affect everyone. Malowalen tuka leloni wodiko. So, there were those preliminary concerns. And I think that the meeting then was rescheduled that, look, let's mourn the president at the church service and let's meet. So currently, they are in a meeting. Government, on one side, is still being represented by Secretary to Cabinet. Even the Vice President and former Secretary to Cabinet Leslie Mbula might be in the meeting, because they remain government delegation at this stage. And on our side, we have the family of President Edgar Lungu, led by the First Lady and others. So there are continuous negotiation. When we have a breakthrough, when we break the stalemate, we should announce the date when the repatriation will occur. It is not in anyone's interest that the remains of the former president should continue to be under contention and in South Africa. The president needs to come home. The president needs to be laid to rest back home. And it's imperative that all parties come together and look at the bigger picture, that the man at the center of all this was a very peaceful man. You know, people remember in 2017, first 2016, when he won elections and there was an electoral petition, President Hakainde Hichilema held a press conference and said, we will never recognize him, he's just Mr. Lungu. To date, President Hakainde Hichilema fails to call his colleague President Lungu. But President Lungu didn't arrest him for treason or for failure to recognize him, he didn't. And then there was that incident in 2017 where they were in Mongo at the Komboka ceremony and the presidential convoy was coming, and the convoy for President Hakainde Hichilema refused to move. Even when President Lungu dropped his window so that our colleagues could see that this is a presidential convoy of the head of state, they were on and insulting, and you know, that was an ugly affair in our country. I don't know if any person would obscure President Hakainde Hichilema's convoy where they will end up. I wonder if they'll be as lenient as President Edgar Lungu's convoy was. It ended up in a treason allegation. Some people said it was a mere traffic offense. That's not the day to discuss the merit of that case. My point is, the Commonwealth came, and the Commonwealth, led by Patricia Scotland, said, Mr. President, we know this is an internal sovereign matter. We know it's a matter of rule of law. But Mr. President, we are concerned about exogenous factors. There's political tension as a result of this matter. You may be right. The state may be right in prosecuting him for treason, but it has raised political tension. Zambia is known to be a peaceful country. President Lungu says, no, allow Patricia Scotland to come. He didn't say this is a Zambian affair. He didn't say, I'll not allow it, it's a rule of law, he broke the law. No, he didn't. And after intense negotiations, that matter ended up in a nolle prosequi, and President Hakainde Hichilema was released. That was President Lungu. He was a man of peace. I narrated the other day when we had that contention in 2014, who should act as president, because President Michael Sata appointed him as Minister of Defense, Minister of Justice, and Secretary General, and he never allowed Guy Scott, who was Vice President, to act. Maybe because of his Scottish roots, because he was a European, he was a Briton. Maybe, we don't know why, but President Sata never allowed Mr. Guy Scott to act, but let Edgar Lungu and others act as president. When that day came, when we lost the president, all the cabinet ministers says, the wishes of the president is that Guy Scott can't act as president, can't be president. But the constitution said the vice president acts as president. And the one who stopped that entire crisis was Edgar Lungu. I'm a lawyer, a lawyer, and I'm the Minister of Justice. I cannot allow the rule of law to be abrogated. I can't participate in the breach of the Constitution, despite the tensions and emotion. President Lungu just lay that matter, says, no. We want to Wakwalesa. If the Constitution says the vice president, whether he's white, he's Zambian, he was born here, his father is one of our freedom fighters. Many people might not know who Guy Scott's father was. He's the one that set up the Zambia Daily Mail. The Zambia Daily Mail people abused today. It was set up by Guy Scott's father in 1962. It was a good newspaper speaking for UNIP, speaking for the liberation movement, run by a Briton, but speaking for our people. So President Lungu says, no ways and manners. This man is our vice president. And we have a constitution that says he should act as president. And he acted as president. So for me, the current crisis we have is not a crisis. If we are driven by views and the spirit of President Lungu, a man of peace, a man renowned for his peace, we shall resolve this issue. I think there are concerns from the family. For example, their request is that President Lungu came as a private citizen. They are bringing him back as a private citizen. There are well-wishers that have provided for means in which President Lungu's remains should be brought. The state have insisted that just from the undertaker, they take over from South Africa, whether they are using the ZAF plane or whatever they've provided. And, the family then follows, the state takes over. The family is insisting that they'll bring President Lungu home the way they had left, and the state will take over. I think there are other requests, such as where the body will lie. Remember the bodies of, President Frederick Chiluba lay at Ideal Funeral at the time. Subsequent president have laid at Maina Soko, and I think there's a request by government that the body from the airport to lie will be deposited at Maina Soko. And every time there's an event, whether it's Mulungushi or whatever ceremony will take place, it will be coming from Maina Soko and taken to wherever the event is up to the day of burial. The family wants it to lie in state at home, and that it can be guarded from day one by the same security staff, both security and the soldiers, who will have custody of these remains. But the remains will lie at his residence, and when they wish to take it wherever it should be taken for parade or for body viewing, or how we mourn our presidents, it should come from home and go that way. There are issues like that are being dealt with. Some are nitty-gritty that should not be available for comment at this stage, but I don't think that there are matters that can't be overcome. For example, if the family have concerns with the special envoys in Leslie Mbula and Enoch Kavindele, the president has at his disposal many men and women that can play this role. They can be replaced and discussion should be underway. There's a clock ticking, but it should not bother us. I think the issue is a resolution. We shouldn't be resolving issue because there's a clock ticking, but we should resolve issues for purposes of meaningful interest of our country. On the UPND side, some things occurred today. Like I'm saying, in the neutral church service that occurred today at the Sacred Hearts Cathedral in Pretoria, the government delegation attended that meeting led by Secretary to Cabinet, Mr. Patrick Kangwa, and the two special envoys of the president. We haven't opened the phone lines, but the number is there. I'll be opening the phone lines soon for you to participate. I'm looking for the two speeches for Given Lubinda and Makebi Zulu, so that I think we can start. So currently that is the main update. President Lungu died on 5th June, last Friday. President Hakainde Hichilema declared 7 days of national mourning and the state funeral for him beginning on Sunday. The country is currently under a solemn environment. We are playing from, solemn music. And today, a wonderful church service, well-organized church service took place in honor of the former president. And thank you to members of the Zambian community in South Africa that turned up. And thank you to members of the Patriotic Front, those in South Africa, and those that traveled, like Honorable Given Lubinda, Mal Sampa, Honorable Nakachinda, and members of the Central Committee that are there. I think you gave the president a dignified, very dignified send-off for the South African community and the support that was given. When I come back, I'll be ready to answer your questions. brother. Is that my sister? Very well, just hold on, just hold on. We have our first caller. Please introduce yourself and make your contribution. Please make them brief. I'm embarrassed that yesterday I had over 106 missed calls. I think that shouldn't be. Already you can hear the buzz. Quickly make your contributions and let's begin the debate.
Yeah, okay. You're speaking to Princess Nai from Johannesburg, but what I wanted to say is that I've been observing the whole morning thing and the remarks by the Zambian people. I think people that are aligned to the government must not prescribe to the opposition how they mourn the loss. Everybody has lost, but you must respect the fact that there are those that have lost more than others. There are those don't want to steal or to erase relations that people had with the deceased and the late person. Respect the deceased by allowing his people and those close to him to mourn them in ways they choose for themselves to be befitting. So do not disrespect the dead by wanting to say, yeah, we are all mourning, and I've seen that's the narrative. And you want to even decide where mourners must gather, where mourners must be, where mourners must do things. I think that's really out of order. Let those that have lost be allowed to mourn in the way they choose and deem fit. Thank you.
My dear sister, thank you very much. Good afternoon, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from, and please make your contributions.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, Ambassador, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. That sounds like my dear Mbuya, Chanot Dangwira.
This is Chanot Dangwira.
I'm giving instructions. Whoever is with Chanot Dangwira, mbikireniko powder mwebantu bakwalesa. Mumbikireko powder na papata.
And I'm with one member man here.
Please do the honor and send me the picture. I'll show it here. Make your contribution.
Yeah, quickly, I think I would agree with you, Mr. Ola, that when someone has died, give precedence to the wishes of the immediate family, as the wife or whichever relative that is there. I think there is no qualm. I mean, there's no problem that is being, imagined in this whole thing, Your Excellency.
Yeah.
Ambassador, I'll be honest with you. Dialogue could have solved almost everything in this whole matter.
Yeah.
But the problem is that egos have taken precedence, especially from those that are in office now. And I want you to not rush me, not that I'm going to take much of your time, but I want to say this, that look, this is not an issue of egos. It is an issue of reality, looking at where we're coming from, Ambassador. We are coming from a very tense situation regards or around President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's life from the time that he left office in 2021. And that cannot be ignored. That cannot just be put aside. No, that should be considered and also be put into serious consideration.
Yeah.
Firstly, the government could have at least humbled itself and not show the arrogance of power and the arrogance of, what should I say, incumbency. The first thing that they could have done is, first of all, announce President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's demise in time. The family could have been forced to announce the funeral because government was dilly-dallying. Trust me, Edgar Chagwa Lungu died in South Africa, and there's a president in South Africa. And that president is almost in constant touch with the president here in Zambia. And obviously, his colleague could have mentioned it to him. He could have taken it upon himself and say, look, this is what has happened. And as I conclude, Ambassador, even if it was the family that announced and he heard it from the family, there was no need of saying, no, we heard from the family. He could have shown leadership and simply he could have announced to the people that, look, this is what has happened to my brother. And it ends there.
Chanoda, you are right. You are right. I announced the death of President Frederick Chiluba at 04. And it didn't stop the formal announcement by President Rupia Banda, who was in Chipata at 7 o'clock.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I just wanted to chip in there.
Exactly. And also, this issue of the impasse between the family and by the way, I'm part of the family anyway, because I'm Umozi Kumawa. So Edgar Lungu is our son. Now, this impasse that has been created, the best that could have happened again is government to humble itself and tell his ministers or their ministers to stop having these uncoordinated, statements. Also, cadres like obvious Mali Teta, the Chela Tukutas, the Smues, they could have been put to order. The best they could have done is we have people that are neutral. We have got Dr. Miti. We've got Evans Civility. Why couldn't they have sent these two individuals to go and engage the Lungu family? Why should they send cadres like Avindele and this guy Mbula? For what? So, from my side, Ambassador, this is a doing of the UPND, and nobody should blame anybody. They should blame themselves for causing all this impasse. Allow Edgar Chagwa Lungu's family to dictate how they would want their man to be buried. And Makebi Zulu was clear, Ambassador, to say all we want is to transport the remains of Edgar Chagwa Lungu from South Africa privately, the way he went to South Africa. Then from there, government can take off. Where is the problem?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngwira. Thank you very much. I'm waiting for the picture. Ngapana wale umfamwe bantu bakwale sansanshire niko ubunga kuri uyo muntu uyo. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Ambassador, good evening.
Good evening.
This is Pastor Brian from Kasama.
Pastor Brian, we are grateful to host you once again. Make your contributions.
Thank you very much. I followed the program on Diamond TV during the Recom service in South Africa.
Yeah.
And I actually shed tears when I saw the former First Lady, Maiwa Esther Lungu. That was very, very heartbreaking. And I began asking myself a question. Surely, to be the president and a member of the president's family or former president's family, should that take the human you are from you? And should people ignore your emotions? And I was like, come on, where can we get the strength even to be having press briefing upon press briefing without paying attention to such a broken woman? I looked at her and I was like, where she is, she's like weeping so in an hopeless manner, like where am I going to get help, and what is going to happen next? I pray to God that this should be the end in Zambia. This should be the end in Zambia. And Ambassador, one thing actually praying for, being a Christian, is that our fathers should learn to be fathers. What do I mean? They should learn to stay back. They should learn to keep quiet. We have lost a lot of time during this time because we have a lot of fathers who have lost credibility in Zambia, and we cannot trust them, and we cannot look up to them. I follow your programs always, and I admire your thinking. I admire your calmness, and it is just so amazing to have a Zambian like you. I'm so proud, actually. May God bless you, sir.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, Reverend Brian Chagwa, and God bless you.
My point is, Zambians, starting from our head of state up to me, the least, let's consider Mom Esther Lungu in a painful moment.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
What is right.
Thank you.
So very much.
I think that Father Reverend Brian Chagwa is very, very clear. The primary wishes of the first, of the president should be taken into consideration. In this case, the widow and primarily the family, not political interest, but family interest should take precedence. Yeah, please call. Something needs to be said. I wanted to say, on government side, we've seen a sudden change. Remember yesterday we were bemoaning that misconduct by UPND who took over the funeral service at Belvedere Lodge. And I asked, can diplomats go there? Can the family of Edgar Lungu go there in the manner that UPND had stormed the area? Today, we saw a good change. We saw a group of ministers go to Belvedere Lodge. And I was warmed by these comments by the youth for the UPND, Mr. Mosquito himself, where, just listen to this.
They are very difficult because number one, it's in Amarilo as a nation. We cannot pretend the late Edgar Chagwa Lungu was the Republican president for this country. He was our opponent. But now all of us, we have no choice to stop whatever we are doing in terms of politics. Because one, the head of state, President Chilema, so the first time he holds this kind of a thing. It's not an easy thing. Africa support. Yes, is Makamaka is a minority by UPND. We need to behave ourselves under this period. That we support the president, President Chilema, and also to mourn together with our colleagues, because Wamena Atisia, the parent, the father, everything, and also had supporters. And in Kamba Kuti, infa ikabwela, vokamba vibwela. Kulibe muntu aza kamba kuti in experience ya infa palibe. Even my family is mwatu muntu akamwalira, tima sontana vikumo. Because no one understands death. Ni mulungu mwini wako wamene amaziwa. But again, it takes for those who pray to God very much. They understand that njirani mozi tonse tulikwenda kufa. They nemestizi wachabe. So what we need, we as UPND, is to hold hands together with those in opposition. We mourn our sick.
Yeah, those were views from Gilbert Liswani. So I thought that he was very sober in appealing to youths that they should mourn together with the Patriotic Front. I think that was mature. Unlike the statements we received yesterday from Elisha Matambo, Copper Belt Provincial Minister, and from Obvious Mwaliteta, issues of threats, issues, to bury you. Today there was sober statement, Gilbert Liswani, so that was a good statement. The ministers going to Belvedere Lodge, that was a good thing. And we saw that the Minister of Home Affairs statement was sober than the Minister of Information and Media. My brother, who's calling, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yes, this is Kalinda, calling from Zambia.
Mr. Kalimba, kindly make your remarks quickly.
Yes, Kalinda. I think... I don't know the objective of the program. The only thing that I would wish to happen is that peace could reign. And seeing all this secrecy happening amid, even before the body is buried or put to rest, it brings worry to this country. So all I can advise is that we are just more like adding more salt to the already issue which has over politicized by everyone. So even the program that what you are carrying out currently, I don't object to, but it seems you are trying to, I don't know the best word that I can use. You are trying to put salt and escalate it, or maybe make it look more confused. I think we are
my brother, don't insult us. You are the one that's confused. If you can't follow what we are doing, ZMBC is live. Go to ZMBC. Okay. If the program is not suitable for you, go to ZMBC. We have to have our own avenue and give you the information that is available to us. How we fashion it, how we package it is our editorial policy. Respect that. If you think it's confusing, go to ZMBC. Okay. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Murshan Kwai.
Yole salet sunga shana imwe. Mwikele shan kukitwelo mwalosheni. Yes, yes.
But why did it take the government 48 hours to announce the death of the former head of state?
They have not announced up to now. They have not announced. They just came and gave us a day of national mourning, period of national mourning.
Where we are heading to as a nation is very, very dangerous, and we are going upon the church to do something about this.
Yeah, yeah.
Because all we need is unity and peace in our nation. Politics are just politics. We should not allow politicians to divide our country.
Thank you very much. Kindly contribute. We are discussing the funeral program for the next 7 days and the events that occurred today. Currently, as I'm speaking to you, government and the family are seated in Pretoria discussing to come up with a solution to the current impasse. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay. My name is Francis. I'm calling from Johannesburg.
Francis, kindly make your contributions.
Yes. So my contribution is that, it just so sad what we have seen, what has happened and what has transpired. And for me, I personally, I just feel for the family, looking at what they have gone through from 2021, the handover power, the persecution, the pain, the harassment of the former First Lady, harassment of Tasila, Dariso, and the other. And then here comes the death of the father, and then you see the people that have done you bad. They want to pretend that they love you. It's painful. It's painful, and even looking at how these people they have behaved to the government, it shows one maturity and it shows being heartless. Being heartless. They have not shown any sense of remorse, any sense of any sense of love.
Yeah.
They just want to think that they are right, and it's very painful.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm with the family, and it's very hard, and I just pray that God strengthen the family and everyone. So we thank you, Ambassador, for your program, and may God bless you wherever you are.
Thank you very much. We are discussing today an update of what has happened so far. A wonderful church service occurred in Pretoria today, and former First Lady Mama Esther Lungu led the mourners, and we thank the community in South Africa that turned up in numbers. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Mr. Martin Banda, calling you from Sparta Eastern Province.
Mr. Martin, make your contributions.
My contributions are that I'm failing to understand everything that is happening around the death of our former president, especially where government is concerned. I'm failing to understand as what has the previous caller have already said. Until now, we are waiting for the government to give us an official announcement for the death of our former president, but it's still quiet. At the same time, they are fighting to take control of the whole process involving the funeral of our former president. What is it that they really want to do with the body of our former president? The issue is just a straightforward issue. They failed to help our the former head of state when he needed the most. They blocked him when he needed the most. They did all what they could to make sure that he say that he dies from heart attack or anything bad happens to him so that he dies. Today, they are the ones in front, threatening. I don't know. I'm failing to understand everything that is happening.
Thank you very much. That's the purpose of this program, that first of all, we all discuss this. We may not all of us have answers, but there should be an avenue for all of us to discuss this and find ways and means. For those that are from government, maybe they may pick one thing or two. I am from the other side. I might pick one or two things and attempt to influence. But essentially, its primary is the family and their wishes. Thank you. Okay, so there was a church service at Sacred Heart of Cathedral in Pretoria, where hundreds of Zambians gathered. We are glad for those that traveled from Lusaka. Government was represented by the Secretary to Cabinet.
Hello.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm Susan Kalenj calling from Johannesburg.
Yes,
How
my
are you,
dear
Honorable?
sister. I'm very well. Mwalosheni.
Awe twalosha ba president mwe.
Mwachia kuchirilo, mwachia kucheichi.
Kwaina cha ku Pretoria was there. I can't miss out that one. I can't.
Mwawomba, we are proud of you. We are proud of you. Thank you very much. Make your contributions.
Yes, my contribution is, I think the government pay a chance family. Because it's longer chats can get chi. Our free of side ni family. Hello?
Yes, ndio mfwa.
Mkwai, ever free of panga decision. The other thing I think we don't have never Maova Esther. Now when I never sample as a woman, as a widow, he have to decide that and therefore our PF have never see your muntu wabo. But government why are they interested now when someone is gone? Because baranda tumuntu bamutasha dijale pema tamwamutashishe why barefo kumutashe umuntu nafwa. Don't you give them time to give speeches? Because I don't think they deserve to do anything for our president.
Thank you. Anything else? Yeah, that's a voice from Susan Kalenshi from Johannesburg, and she's emphasizing that government has a duty to listen to the concerns of the family. And as you heard from the family spokesperson, they've recognized the role of the state. This man was head of state. This man was president of our country for 7 years. There'll be a role of the state, but the family have certain wishes and certain guarantees that they want. I'm glad that government, led by the Secretary to Cabinet, have stayed on. And I hope that this impasse will be resolved and we can bring the mortal remains of our president back home and lay him to rest. Yeah, please keep on calling. The line is extremely busy, but continue to speak.
Mayo Bana Lungu and the Lungu family, the acting president and the extended family of the Patriotic Front, I stand on the protocols established. ECL, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, my president, our president, where are you? We were anxiously waiting for your return. We have so much work to do and needed your wise counsel. Many of us are still in denial. We keep asking, does offering yourself for public service mean signing a death warrant? Do we not work for our families? Why then would everything be taken away from you by men?
Hello, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yeah, this is Teresa calling from Chipata.
Make your contributions.
Yeah, it's very sad that what is happening now is a concern with the government. Looking at the situation, because I was even watching some videos about the family of our daddies and the lawyer that they have even refused to go the passport to travel to South Africa where there is a funeral. Again, I'm also watching some videos that the government has also put the other side for the funeral, where they're even mooning, they're even making their comments. But we know that we also have a PF secretary that they decided that would be a funeral place. So that's my concern to say. What is it that the government is doing? What is it that they are thinking? Or in which way do they want to take us as Zambians? Where are we going? Because now we are confused.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Zambians are expressing confusion. They wish that we could have just peace and resolved this matter. I hope that this matter will be resolved. I'm very hopeful. If government is posturing is not arrogance, it will be resolved. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm Charity, calling you from Sweden.
Okay, my dear sister from Sweden, please make your contributions.
Yes, it is very tragic of what is happening, but I liked the previous caller who contributed with everything that is happening. But I'm also shocked that the government has allowed many of its members, or at least the UPND members, to be making statements that cannot represent the government standpoint, but because they support the ruling party, it also stands as Vena UPND, right? I liked the way Honorable Haimbe came out on Diamond TV. He tried to avoid responding to all the tough questions that the presenter presented to him. He answered very, very well, even if it was not the answer that the viewers wanted, but at least he did not set the Zambia talking in a negative way. And I think that is what we need to be a little bit sensitive with. So if we're going to talk on behalf of the UPND, I don't think are the best to be saying a lot of, because everybody will just get bruised and thinking they're not being sensitive. So in this case, we need to mourn with our friends. And indeed, we have no idea. Of course, maybe most of us have lost a dear one. But this one is quite a big blow, and I just hope. It is very sad to see the disunity in the country. It is very sad that we can't find that defines Ubuntu, the Zambians in us, that we've become so cold towards one another. Very, very cold. The things you see, people that you even love, the people that you know, what they write, some comments when you go to some pages, you ask yourself, do we really come from homes? How were we raised? What has really gotten into us that we've completely lost it, that we can just write, type things? You know, we need to start looking at how can we be contributing to building Zambia. Our comments are not helping building Zambia. Our comments are hurting, but they are also hurting Mother Zambia.
Yeah.
So I hope this time we can all reflect. I'm not saying the Patriotic Front or they are correct in what they are doing, but then the Patriotic Front this time, they belong to the Lungu's family, right? And now how do we respond? But I think also the leadership in the Patriotic Front must also advise the people, especially those with large followings, that, you know, we have an opportunity like your page, Honorable Wamba, that we can express ourselves without feeling victimized or, you know, being hurt, and you also promoting negativity. But we can speak like this. Ubuntu must remain in us. So I ideally hope that we can do an introspection and we can see that we need to love each other. And I hope finally that the president maybe can come out also and just address us. I think it's about time.
Thank you.
The silence is too loud, unfortunately. The silence is too loud. We need a voice that is going to say it's going to be okay, because things are not okay right now. And we cannot continue going on as we are doing. Somebody needs to just come out and just say, it's going to be okay. Banabandi, things are rough. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Our dear sister from Sweden offering counsel that as a country we are at a crossroad, and she's asking for sobriety, and she's wondering, how come the pages of the UPND are so full of vitriol? And you mean there's no one who can stop them? These praise singers, in the manner they even create very negative, very toxic narrative. I like that counsel. Ababana kwabeko bafuma wishari kwe wishivo alikwe. And I like that assertion. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling you from Lusaka.
Chipo from Lusaka, kindly make your contributions.
Okay. Firstly, I think I would want to say this is the time that Zambia should unite. This is the time that wounds need to be healed, because you don't repay a wrong with a wrong.
Yeah.
Secondly, I think it would be wise for everyone, the leaders, even in PF, to actually be very honest with the law, because we know the law. And the law is that when a president, a former president, call it, they fit villages. And as such, there was no way the current government of HH would grant him the privileges, because he was an adult, he consented, and he was aware of the decision he was making. And with that said, I think it is wrong for the people of Zambia and for the PF to propagate hatred when we should actually propagate healing, even when we are hating, by saying, okay, now that he is late, this is a national asset. He's everyone's leader. He was a father for everyone. And so this is the time that the nation should unite and say, look, he went back to active politics. So he was not privileged to have special, privileges or government to take care of him, because he refused it by going back to active politics. But now that he is late, can we give him his befitting burial as the former head of state? Because now the active politics doesn't come in play. And so as a people of Zambia, I think, Mr. Mwamba, we should propagate healing. We need to propagate forgiveness, because if we divide the nation, this is the only nation we have. And so we cannot continue. This is a funeral. And when we look at our culture, funeral comes with respect. So when people say, no, the family has decided, people need to set aside feelings.
Thank you very much,
The
my
former
dear sister.
president, he is the national asset. So the family in this matter has got no say, so to say, because of the law.
No, we first of all, you need to be educated. You need to be educated.
Yes, we love the Lungus. Yes, we love Mama Lungu. But in this case, her husband was the president. So you can't stop the law that even the former president knew, because he was a lawyer, because of a few selfish people who are saying, let the family decide. No, that is wrong. So I am hoping that one Zambia, one nation. Can we come together? Can we heal? Can we pray together and give this man a befitting burial? Thank you very much.
I just quickly need to correct my dear sister. When the family is asking for certain demands, I like what Dixon Jerry wrote. He says this case is a bit different because the other presidents that have died with their benefits. This one didn't die with his benefits. This one gave up his benefits. So do you accord him his benefits in death? And I think listening to the family is not in any way being selfish, is not in any way being... so I just wanted to correct my dear sister there. He's former president. And that's why on this program, we've been advocating that if I were a president, I would never have withdrawn the benefits for President Lungu. I have seen presidents here in the United States, they participate in politics. Obama was on a campaign trail for Kamala Harris. Was his benefits withdrawn? Hello, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, my name is Victor. I'm calling from the United Kingdom.
Victor?
Zambian, obviously. Yes, Victor.
Okay, yes, Victor. Please make your contributions.
I just want to just a quick one. Fine. Look, if we look at it logically, and if we're using the law of argument, where we have a premise, and the first premise is that he's a former president, and he joined politics, and the law says that he cannot have those benefits. Fine. If that's the argument that they want to put across, that is fine as well. But what we need to understand is he then enjoyed certain privileges as an ordinary citizen. So the banning of him traveling for medical, for his medical facilities or whatever it was, why did they have to do that? Because then you're contradicting yourself. If you say you've stripped him off of the benefits, but why not give him the privileges of him going to access medical facilities at his own peril? You can't have it both ways. You can't have a cake and want to hold it, So the truth of the matter is that it's not that, people should be logical. We understand that there's a lot of emotions going around, but people need to accept where it went wrong. That is the truth. And if we don't get to the truth, we are not going to start healing. You cannot be wanting to talk about what the PF are doing when the truth is out there. Look at how other leaders are being treated. Look at how other MPs have been incarcerated. There's so much hatred going on in the country. So there has to be a point where church leaders have to come in. There has to be a point where people have to come in, and the country needs to start healing. Because without that, we'll just be going around in circles. Thanks.
Thank you, Victor from the United Kingdom. Victor is recognizing that there are legitimate concerns from the party, mostly from the family at this stage, because I think the family takes precedence. The family has certain demands, and in my view, in my understanding, this should not be difficult to overcome. It can be resolved. An issue yesterday occurred where the envoys of the president were not suitable. They actually offended the families. So I think a request was made that other people should represent government. Secretary to Cabinet was all fine. but you had hostile figures in Leslie Mbola and Honorable Kavindele, who have been at the forefront. Even just as late as last week, they were issuing hostile statements against the former president. So that was the issue why talks broke down yesterday. And I think everything was put to have this service today. And I hope that the meeting that has taken place this evening will resolve the outstanding issues. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. And please be brief. There are so many calls coming in. Let's see how many we can allow in.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Like to remain anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous. Please proceed with your contributions.
Yeah, I'll be very, very brief. I think the lady who just called is not very honest with herself, because the former president was a former head of state, and actually mistreating him and treating him the way we treated him actually borders on security of the nation. He had so much information about this nation, and we wouldn't let him just be like that. And then how does the law affect stopping a former head of state traveling for medical attention? Let's be honest with what we do. I think at this junction point, we need the president of the nation to address this nation and preach reconciliation, preach peace, and preach love. You know, the family must be allowed to mourn their loved ones, you know, and the former head of state is not a commodity. He's not, an item. He's a father to the family, he's a husband, you know, and he's an uncle, and therefore, all of us who've lost our loved ones before, not to say that, when you're mourning a loved ones, you are supposed to be allowed to mourn your loved one, despite he's a former head of state. So, I think every one of us would behave the Lungu, like the way the Lungu family has behaved when they are being pushed by the government. Let the government now preach reconciliation, preach love, and preach peace. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. I like what he has said. Former President Edgar Lungu is not a commodity. At Kabulen bread yala bola wangu wantu wali, no, is not a commodity, and I like that analogy where is saying if there are grievances, especially the ones from the family, they should be attended to. I think the needs must be very limited, but very critical to the family. And we cannot bury our heads in the sand that there are no issues. The way we treated President Lungu the last 3 years, I think in the last few days we spent time to catalog the humiliation and suffering that is gone through under the hand of this government. The impasse is here because we didn't treat him as former president. People are resorting to the issue of the law. Are you sure it's an issue of the law? Like someone said, does going to hospital, does the law come in? Why were you stopping him? So there are clear issues. We need to admit the issues to be resolved. There are issues of how we should put him to rest. And no one has not recognized that he's head of state, he's former head of state, and there's a role of the state. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Okay, so this is Mamba Yobruru from Lusaka.
My dear brother, make your contributions.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say many thanks for your update that you keep on giving us as a nation, because there is a gap, I think, and that gap has to be filled. Then, what I want us to do now is, I think, at all costs, why don't we find ways of making sure that we speak that which will build and that which will heal our nation, because whether we like it or not, the reality is that the the feelings are actually framing in the hearts of people. And I want to believe that when a nation is like that, I think that's where leadership is supposed to be displayed. And the biggest question now is, where are the fathers? Don't we have people that can come and probably show leadership by maybe speaking to the president? Are we going to still see and feel that even at the moment when our egos should drop, individuals surely, I want to direct my especially to the president, who still feel I need to demonstrate that this is the most powerful? Because I want to believe that when we are at a moment like this, I think the president will lose nothing. First, by being the number one head in this country, to assume responsibility, because I think whether we want to pretend, there was some kind of misunderstanding, and there was this very visible. Many times the president demonstrated that he was actually not going to give ECL a chance to come back.
Yeah.
Yes. Even when the saying by Wachewa, Tikati Nkela Mbili Nyako, so assumption is that now that this thing has happened, why can't somebody come down and assume that no, actually, in politics I said this and that, but now that it has happened like this, please let me apologize for my maybe careless word for the sake of peace.
True.
Because
okay, my brother, let's allow other callers.
I think this is what leadership demand.
Let me just give an example of inflammatory statements that have been quite difficult.
Patriotic front, Oka, that they should forget about Lungu. He's not coming back as president. It will not happen. I hear Edgar Nuvinda was saying, whether Againde wants or whoever wants, Edgar Lungu will be on the ballot. Well, if they want, they can print their own ballot papers. They can go and print and vote on their own outside the law. Will not stop them.
There were comments like that, very volatile statements from the president and his senior officials that really have inflamed and caused division. We have a funeral, we have to build bridges. How do we do it? Here is a caller from here in the United States. Please introduce yourself and make your contributions.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
My name is Wilson Mazimba. I'm calling from the USA.
Mr. Wilson Mazimba from Mpulungu. Mwaisen kuku America. Iyo badena contribute.
Okay, no, thank you very much. First of all, Ambassador, I'm very disappointed with the lady that said the family has no say in all this. That's not correct. The family has all the reason to put up their stance they are putting up because of the way our former president was treated. If they had accorded him respect, it was going to be a different matter.
Yeah.
But we see that he was even denied going to diplomatic mission. We are seeing something that is being circulated, that a letter was written to all diplomatic missions not to accord him any protocols. That was not good. So there seems to have been hate from the beginning, which we don't want to perpetuate. Yeah. And this can only be solved by the current president, who should come up and start saying, please, Zambians, maybe we went wrong. We were not supposed to do this. Let's mourn our former president with dignity and with peace. But he has not come out in the open, which is very worrying. And as a former classmate to HH, we are very disappointed.
You are a former classmate. Where were you studying together?
We were together at the University of Zambia.
Ah, okay. What did you study?
Economics.
Okay.
He also studied economics, and we have been very disappointed with all his policies, all what is going on from somebody who is supposed to know better, but is just making things worse and worse for this country.
Tefyo mwasambirire ku school if balechita.
How tefyo.
Bawuso Natasha sana ngamabwela kumpulungu mkandentereko kapenta mpulungu. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, no, there have been inflammatory speeches like the one I was showing you of Honorable Jack Mwimbo.
Patriotic trust, Oka, that they should forget about Lungu. He's not coming back as president. It will not happen. Never happen. I hear.
Yeah, please, Ko. We are in, day 3 of national mourning. President Hakainde Hichilema declared 7 days of national mourning. That should go up to Saturday. Today, a private ceremony took place because a community in Zambia, in South Africa, organized a church service. I think that was very befitting. And 7 Zambian priests turned up with other members of the church also turned up, and the Zambian community gave a befitting church service for President Edgar Lungu. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, I'm Mr. Nkandu from Lusaka.
Mr. Nkandu, kindly make your contribution. Be brief. Yes, there are so many buzzing questions.
Yes. Therefore, ushe ukabola lelo wa mashani. Kabola lelo wa mashani ba UPND. Roma wa fumapo. Imitima na shitukalipa tetule la ndevyo iwe. Chi UPND kada.
Mkwai. Batila ule losha tawamucheva kukanwa wa UPND. I saw a statement from Laura Miti, who's directing the Inspector General of Police to go and close the party secretariat and challenging the government that unless it is not government. That was a very careless statement from Laura Miti. And that's what a lady from Sweden was saying, that why is the president allowing these inflammatory statements during this period? Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening. This is Concerned Citizen calling from Lusaka.
Concerned citizens, please contribute and make it brief.
Again, my concern, the concern that I spoke about when I called in yesterday, narrative. Instead of focusing on reconciliation, or instead of just being honest and saying that they may not want to participate in fully and effectively in the funeral of the former president, there seems to be so much focus on trying to navigate a new narrative. Like that, our dear lady who spoke before and who was talking about the law and about certain responsibilities that the government must have now. I think the time for that type of hypocrisy is over. It was clear that the relationship was uncomfortable. It was clear, or at least it seems clear, through various documentation and statements that we have seen that there was no interest for the former president to be accorded the respect that he should have been accorded while he was alive. If that's the case, if the fact that there was a palpable discomfort in according him that type of respect and those type of honors, I think it's only fair that going forward, and as we mourn our president, we give all the rights to, one, the family, 2, the political party that he led, and 3, us, the citizens who, in spite of all their attempts, respected and loved our dear president. I think let them just step away from this all of this hypocrisy and let us mourn him the way we should. Thank you very much.
Thank you, concerned citizen from Lusaka.
Patriotic front, Woka, that they should forget about Lungu. He's not coming back as president. It will not happen. I hear.
Yeah, please come. We will begin to wind up. We are hopeful that the meeting that has taken place today will result into the impasse to be resolved between the family on one side and Secretary to Cabinet with Enoch Kavindele and Honorable Leslie Mbula on the other side with embassy officials. They've been engaged in this meeting to try to discuss how to repatriate the remains of the former president. Clearly, the remains are not coming tomorrow on 11th as discussed. A fresh date, the family said they'll give us, and we hope that it can be very soon. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Soko, is calling from Zambia.
Soko, please make your contribution.
Yes, as Ambassador, people are shying away from the truth over this matter. For example, I would allow somebody who has persecuted my father.
Yeah, please continue.
More than I, the child. Then someone will come there saying, no, your father was what. That sheep of a woman, she should use the political veins to express herself. The government, they were very wrong. And no sane person would say, will bring other laws. We're not talking about who came to active politics. We're talking about how he was treated. Not the laws that stopped him from giving him this and that, but how he was treated. And no person have to underline, how did the former president treated after he left? He left what? He left power. That's the thing here. It's not about the laws that guys with this and that. So let that people use the sober mind, not the political mind. Otherwise, she's going to mislead people.
So from Mr. Soko and 3 other callers that have just responded to that lady who appears to be UPND. The UPND don't seem to learn anything. And I was just giving you an example of Laura Mitty advocating the shutdown of the party secretariat and challenging government unless they are not government, like mocking them. It's statements like that, and then there's a catalog of series of statements that are highly inflammatory that have been spoken to the threat of the life of the former president. Like when Jack Mimbu says he will never come back to power. What does it mean? The president says, it's things like that. But however, those could be political issues. For the family, I think the requests are not even very political. All they are saying is, look, you didn't look after our president. You prevented him from seeking medical treatment several times. And he's been here since January for the last 6 months under on treatment. You didn't bother or care how we lived, how we survived. We've been at the mercy of gestures of well-wishers and good Samaritans. He has died here. We were repatriating him. We are bringing him home. But we are not allowing you to bring him home. We are bringing him home. Another matter that I hear is of contention is where the body will lie. The state says the body should lie at Maina Soko. They are saying the body from the airport, under guard of the state, will lie in state. They can even create a tent at the family home. And if the body is needed to go anywhere, the body can be taken to Mulungushi or wherever, but it will lie in state at President Lungu's home. That and some more requests. The political issues have not even come into the picture. The political issues is us saying them, that the president has a duty. When his brother died, his predecessor died, he should have made the announcement. He made the announcement on Facebook, and he was at his farm or wherever he was, where he was. But I think it was envisaged that the president should have accorded respect to this matter. To date, the president hasn't spoken. Maybe he wishes to speak at the funeral of his dear brother. He should provide direction. He should provide leadership, as we spoke about yesterday. And I was commending him that today I'm glad that even when the talks broke down yesterday, the Secretary to Cabinet and his government delegation were at the cathedral. That was a hallmark of leadership. Today I saw a troop of ministers go to Belvedere Lodge. That was a hallmark of leadership. The continued inflammatory statement from their Facebook pages, their insults, the praise singers, they always worsen the case for President Hakainde Hichilema, especially that he remains silent when citizens are being abused. I think that's what the lady from Sweden was saying. I've never had so many missed calls. Never. 792 missed calls. We need to open 5 lines, I think. So I'll play Asuka tap tap. Yeah. We need to Mr. Mkosa. Mr. Mkosa, good evening. Oh, then the line dropped. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Oh, it's not connecting. I'm so sorry. I need to give you, we need to create another line. The line is so busy today. So busy. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Kindly speak up. Good evening. You are on. You've connected. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Hughes. I'm calling you from Zambia.
Hughes, make your contributions.
Okay. I've been following your program. I appreciate the fact that I've gone through. Hello?
Please make your contribution. I want to allow as many people as possible.
Okay, now my contribution is, Mr. Mwamba, the fuss that is going on currently between the PF and the UPND. I, as a patriotic citizen, think it will not solve anything. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure, in as far as barring a head of state is concerned, there are guidelines that are enshrined in the Zambian constitution on how a late head of state should be buried. So
no, we don't have a law. It's not provided for in the constitution.
I wanted to ask how
I just wanted to clarify.
Front interprets the provisions of the law in as far as a head of state should be buried. Are you defying the law by wanting to do the opposite or what?
Okay, thank you. I saw that thread. From the UPND that there's a law. John Sangwa tried to litigate this matter when he was a lawyer for Kaweche, because Kaweche said my father wished that he should lie in State Lodge next to Betty Kaunda, and John Sangwa proceeded to go to court. What emerged is that, first of all, we don't have a law on how we should regulate this matter. We have some regulations at Cabinet Office and some precedents. What we need is, like we discussed the other day extensively, like the Tanzanian law. The Tanzanian law is very clear. If there are objections to where the president should lay, it has provided for that. It has provided for a place where the heroes will be laid, and it has provided for, if there are objections, but that a plaque and official commemoration will take place there. We don't have a similar law like in Tanzania. What we have are regulations at Cabinet Office where they will say the president would, president will be mourned for 7 days, minister for 1 day, there's state official funeral and others, recognition funeral. These are regulations. We need to codify them into a proper law where concerns like this should be taken. I cited the case of Levi Mwanawasa, who put it in his will, tested will, and the video that was shown, and he chose to lie at his farm in Palabana. The state overruled him. That was lawlessness. It's because we don't have, I wouldn't want my wishes to be overruled because I was president. But what we need to provide for, that's why I give the example of Tanzania, where the law has provided that, for example, if there are concerns of where the body should lie, the family should accept, they'll be given the body to bury, but a plaque will be placed where nationals and international guests can go and remember who Mwalimu Nyerere was. So, but currently there is no law. And this gives us an opportunity maybe to create a law. So I thought I could just clarify that. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Vamwamba, this is Samuel. Good evening.
Samuel, good evening.
Yes, please. Mwaloshen.
Yole salet sunga shana imwe.
Awe pa nono fine. We are suffering. We are watching and seeing what's going on. It was good to watch the family. They are grieving and appreciating the life of our president. But anyway, straight to the point, because there are so many people calling.
Yeah.
Traditionally, Zambia, we have the churches that have always come to intercede. Churches, the chiefs, those elderly would come through to intercede. They would talk and bring people together. But this government, do they go to church, these guys, or is it just something they talk about, like they belong in the church, they've been in the church, and they follow the word of God? So there's a lot of question marks there. And if you look at how the president was refused exit to go for medical attention, Tamuli, there's no humanity there. Somebody, the government had records regarding this president who's passed away.
Yeah.
They overlook that. Everyone knew in that government. But you'd still stand there and ensure the man does not go. What does that tell us?
Yeah. Somebody
wanted this person gone sooner rather than later. And this is what has happened now. Now, the family was seeing such issues going on. They're seeing all this going on. And the man manages to sneak out and take himself for medical review. And they tell him, no, you are late. The man obviously is conversing with the family. No, Nincherwa. And the doctors will try and do, what they can to help me. He later dies. And then they take, in fact, they haven't even notified us formally. You see, they take their time. They will post. They post on Facebook to let us know about the death. If you look at the other presidents, and as you said yourself, that you had to announce Chiluba's death, and then Rupia Banda came through and announced, coming from the head of state. So this man, there's no respect whatsoever, and wherever this is emanating, maybe we don't know much of what was going on between these two people, but this should never lead to killing your fellow human being. The reason why I'm saying killing your fellow human being is because if you stop somebody who's got a critical condition to go and seek medical attention, that's exactly what you are doing. You are killing that person. So this 7th Mr. Hakainde, I would say he has killed Edgar Lungu with his UPND. They have murdered that man. It's as simple as that. Thank you, Vermont.
Thank you very much.
Patriotic Front, Woka, that they should forget about Lungu. He's not coming back as president. It will not happen.
Never happen.
I hear Edgar Nuvinda was saying whether Hakainde wants or whoever wants, Edgar Lungu will be on the ballot. Well, if they want, they can print their own ballot papers. They can go and
Thank you very much. I'm trying very hard to accommodate as many as possible, but it's like because there's a queue of calls on this single line, and even when I'm answering, it's just jammed. I'm so sorry. I may have to add a second line. But today we are discussing an update on what happened to them. There was a church service that occurred, a required mass in Pretoria that occurred in honor of President Edgar Lungu, Zambia's sixth president. This was organized by the community of Zambians in South Africa. I took time to thank the fathers that helped do this. A group of 7 Catholic priests, supported of course by interdenominational men of God, supported the funeral, but it was held as a required mass under Catholic, and Father Harrison Mulenga from Pretoria was the celebrant. He was supported by Father Peter Banda all the way from Lusaka. This is a pastoral coordinator from the Lusaka Archdiocese. He was also supported by Father Kefas Muwanga, Zambian. Is a stigmatin who's based in Pretoria. Father Clement Mwene, this is, I think, a Dominican who's also based in South Africa. Father Wilbrod Mulenga, Brother Eugene Chagwa, and Brother Obakeng Innocent, a South African national. And we paid special thanks to Beauty Mtonga, who brought the St. Peter Zambian Catholic Community Choir. Many people were asking, did you people transport a choir from Lusaka? No, it's a group of Zambians that perform under St. Peter's Zambian Catholic Community Choir. They did a wonderful job to celebrate the life of our president. We'll begin to close. I'm so sorry we can't take all the calls. But thank you for your gestures and thank you for your contributions. Let me see if I can take the last 4 or 5 calls. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from, and try to be brief.
Sure. This is Alfred from Lusaka.
Alfred, please make your contributions.
Thank you, sir. I think I don't know what's wrong with the UPND government. The problem in the UPND government is that there are novices in governance, and they don't want to consult people who have got experience in governance. You know, Abenebachi is the family of ECL. Government taikwete amaka. If undelia pelasha maka government to bury him, when they want to bury Makaya family, let them leave this to the family. They can't set up to say 7 days of national mourning when they haven't agreed with the family. Let them humble themselves, show some remorse to the Lungu's family, because they treated this man badly. And that's why we're having all these problems. And that's the one thing they are not understanding. They mistreated Isiwe in his life. And now they want to be heroes in his death. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And you know what I mean? Why is she so uncultured, that woman? Or she born from a woman? Or she has been issuing inflammatory statements against the Lungu family and the PF, which I think this is so sad. The article she has written about the Lungu and the family, how they have failed to explain their source of wealth, it's so disheartening. It's so sad. I think Barona needs Valarenga the committee in cyber crimes.
Yo, they got to kupuzusha mune. They got to kupuzusha mune. Yeah. Yo, Mune, thank you very much. It's very clear because she speaks for the benefit of President Hakainde Hichilema. Many people get this offended that she uses, every time we have a crisis, she comes on to support the president, but to disparage his opponents in such toxic manner that currently everything is sensitive because we have a former head of state that died. And we're trying to meet the deadline and bury him as government wishes in the 7-day period. I think the more we de-escalate, the more we all of us climb down from our politics and look at the bigger picture on the health and wealth of our country, we will resolve this issue. We will resolve this issue. I'll take some more calls as we close.
Mayoba Bana Lungu and the Lungu family, the acting president and the extended family of the Patriotic Front, I stand on the protocols established. ECL, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, my president, our president, where are you? We were anxiously waiting for your return. We have so much work to do and needed your wise counsel. Many of us are still in denial. We keep asking, does offering yourself for public service mean signing a death warrant? Do we not work for our families? Why then would everything be taken away from you by men who too are working for their families? Who will look after your family now that you are no more? Lord, give the Lungu family comfort in the way only you can. My president, our president, no one can deny your works under your administration. Every good thing you did for our country speaks volumes about your character. Kind, gentle but firm, focused on development for the good of all Zambians, and I mean just that, all Zambians. You believed in everyone having a piece of the cake, no matter how small. For the children.
Hello, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Patrick calling you from Johannesburg.
Patrick, make your contributions quickly.
Yeah, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the program that you have put up, and we followed the program very well. Now, the bone of contention, I think, is what our colleagues are missing. Mainly we've seen in Zambia, people are talking about, oh, the state is supposed to handle everything and all these other things, forgetting the obligation of his health. That is more really important. Yeah. You know, we are not objecting, or the people there, the family and everyone who is involved, they're not objecting the fact that the state is supposed to bury our president. Fact is, yes, they are supposed to do that. But the issue that the issues that the UPND government are forgetting is their failure to issue access for our late president to access his medical programs, which was not part of the law. So that is the point which these people are missing. And if they came out and said, look, we are sorry, this was supposed to be done, but we didn't, there was negligence on our end. We are sorry, let's move forward. And then people are going to see, oh, these people are apologetic and these people really, they want to reconcile. But at the end of it, we've seen more than 5-10 spokespeople that are speaking from the end of the government. And we're now beginning to wonder to say, what is it these guys are doing? I saw Honorable Malitet the other day say, no, PF, no, Sakarism and all these other things. But even them, they've got all these elements in them. And now you say, we are calling upon the church to come and, preach reconciliation. The church that you called, they are Satanists. So if you called our leaders in the church to say, are Satanists and they are Lucifers, how do you call these people now to come and reconcile you at the point when you need them? So in his time life, President Edgar Lungu gave one description of the UPND government. And that word was simple. It is a government of people with hypocrisy. That's all. And we're seeing that hypocrisy even in this situation right now. So at the end of it, or moving forward, we need to have a reconciliation through dialogue. But this dialogue should come from our inner hearts, with that, a pure heart to say, this is what we need, not the hypocrisy that we are seeing in the current time today. So really, Vakeke was right. These people really have divided the nation. I've never seen our Zambian country being at such a stage right now as things are moving. And it's really, it's blared. Our future, is blared if we have this kind of caliber of the leaders that we currently have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'll allow
my name
our
is
priest
Father
who's
Andrew
just sent me
Chagwa
that copy.
I am talking
Just let's
and
listen to it.
representing the Dignitatis Humani Social Teacher Limited. And my talking at this particular point is at a time when we are mourning the late Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, who was a former president of Zambia. Now, I was looking at the situation on social media and how people are arguing and trying to sort out the issue of our president's burial. I thought of airing some views over that so that we can all mourn our president, our late former president, in a dignified way. In our culture, we put our differences aside, especially when we have a funeral. And we know that there's time to try and reconcile. There are a lot of things that happened before the death of the president, and some of these should not be brought back so that they cause wrangle in our country. So I'm appealing to everyone in the country, especially the PF leadership, to manage the situation in an amicable way. And then even when there are conflicts which exists among us, the first thing that we need to do is bury the dead person for the sake of his respect and the deceased. And then that is why our tradition, we observe things like Isambo Liamfwa, where we talk about what happened. And aging Zambians and all other people who are stakeholders in this, especially the leadership of the PF party, that they should be calm so that they again worry and be concerned about the ordinary citizens and the peace of our country. We have always been known as a peaceful nation. Now, when we start fighting, two wrongs do not make a fight. Do not make a right. Two wrongs do not make a right because we cannot all be at the same because there is a state in Zambia. From a national point of view, I'm not in this.
Thank you. That is Father Andrew Chagwa Lungu. Many will remember him when he gave that Good Friday message speaking about the cost of living, high cost of living, youth unemployment, and the power outages, and the police summoned him for his statement. There is calling for peace, is calling for all of us to resolve the outstanding crisis. One of my updates I've been giving is that by the end of the day today, we hope that negotiation is a series of meetings. They've been meeting since Saturday, and I'm glad that the meetings have continued. Today there is one meeting between the family. The family has some concerns of how the remains of the president will be treated from Johannesburg when they arrive in Lusaka. And before I go any further, one of the reasons why the body will not be in Lusaka tomorrow is an event that occurred yesterday. You remember that we spoke about it yesterday, where unknown people purporting to be government went and demanded to pick the body of the late president. And they said they were government. And when the administration of the hospital refused, they were threatened. I don't know what powers these officers have. The CCTV material. And the Minister of Information and Media yesterday said he has heard about the report, but he dissociated government from it. But we know it's Zambia's own security officials and government officials that went there. It is things like that that annoy everyone, where you want to pretend it didn't happen. So are you suggesting the family is lying? Are you suggesting the hospital is lying? So yesterday's point of crisis was that, where some persons purporting to be government officials and security officials demanded to retrieve the body of the late president. They threatened the hospital that this is a former head of state of Zambia. You have no powers to have it. It should be under our custody. And the way the UPND work, then there was this statement only seen by UPND rogue media, CIC and others, where you had the Zambia Army commander threatening that we have the body, whether you like it or not, we'll retrieve the body and we'll take it. And that statement was highly circulated only on UPND media. And it is things like that that just sent everyone into a spiral of anger. And I don't think that the Zambia Army Commander, General Ziele, issued such a statement. But it was carried by media of the UPND, CIC, Zambia Accurate, and the other media that usually State House uses. I didn't respond to it because I was waiting for it to be covered by ZMBC and others. That was a highly inflammatory statement. Then there were earlier reports from the hospital where these people turned up and they wanted to get the body of the late president. So we should not cast like the family is being impossible, like the family is being difficult, like the family is, like that woman that people are blaming, that like the widow is just being unnecessarily difficult. Mwebantu bakwalesa apafuila omuntu pakalamba. This is the life of the president. I like where one caller said, it's not a commodity where you are saying, kubula tushike tulabeko. Awe is a husband, is an uncle, is a grandfather. And, he's many things to many people. You just can't treat him like a commodity. And the careless actions. Yesterday it was just a series of careless actions. Number one, Mwaliteta storms Belvedere Lodge, takes over the place and becomes a UPND affair. You had Elisha Matambo from the Copper Belt saying, as soon as we bury Lungu on Saturday, you fellas, we are all locking you up. We are burying you after Lungu. And he issued that statement on his official page as Elisha Matambo. And you expect the family not to respond to those threats where their loved ones' remains are literally being abducted? Come on. The issue is not for us to bury our heads in the sand. The issue is, how can we de-escalate? How can all of us withdraw from this crisis to allow for the mourning to take place, to allow for the body of the late president to come home? How can we? What should be the role of the head of state? What should be the role of PF? What should be the role of the church? What should be the role of UPND cadres? Earlier, I played a statement from Gilbert Liswaniso. I thought that was very responsible, where he called on his youth members that they should not act in a provocative manner. He says, I want to see you to mourn together with the PF. I thought that was some form of leadership. Someone praised Mulambo Haimbe's appearance on Costa, that Costa, the combative Costa, threw all the arsenals at Mulambo Haimbe, but Mulambo Haimbe, alele wafi. Not that he's down, not that he didn't have answers, but he knew where the answers would lead to the escalation of tensions. We saw this man who's very volatile, who issues a lot of threats all the time, Jack Mwimbo. Yesterday he held a press conference, wonderful press conference, where he said, this man who has died is a lawyer like myself. And he was Minister of Home Affairs. I'm occupying a seat he occupied. I thought that was a good gesture from Jack Mwimbu, who is known for volatile and threatening statements. But he was calm. We didn't like the statement from from the Minister of Information because he came to tell lies. And when lies have characterized the UPND, it just annoys all of us. It just annoys citizens. And then when you deploy your surrogates like Laura Miti, Simon Mwewa, who are just insulting the PF, who are insulting President Lungu, who lies dead today, of what value is it for you to insult President Lungu? Of what value is it, Laura Miti, Simon Mwewa? Of what value is it for you to continue to insult the president, even in death? I remember an issue I had when the President Frederick Chiluba died, and there was this long-standing altercation with the Post, and the Post kept on at every opportunity just to raise this vitriol against the former president. Even then said, can there be a ceasefire? He's not there to defend himself. So similarly by UPND, the volatile environment you've allowed, you can't escape your supporters. If Max Moore is dominating ZMBC, you can't disown him when he's disparaging the PF and President Lungu. You cannot disown him. The very characters you are using when they are speaking very responsible statements, we attribute that they've been authorized by the president or his media team. I think it's time for de-escalation. Yesterday's events were totally unfortunate, where you had a threat to abduct the remains of the late president. That's not a small matter. You can imagine the extent of alarm for the First Lady when the hospital called that at in the next 10 minutes they want to know where the morgue is, they want to pick the body, and they want to go with it. And when we are refusing, they are threatening arrest and they are threatening all sorts of things. What did she feel? Her feelings were probably like mine. Mushemukalekali mwamuchusha, mwamusonsomba pafula. Neryo afuile sure. So I think we need to, all of us, to calm down. Zambia is bigger than the UPND. Zambia is bigger than the PF. Zambia is bigger than all of us. And for the preservation of our country, let us act responsibly. Let us love our country more. And let's see how we can resolve this issue. I'll see you tomorrow when we do an update on what will have happened between the meeting between the state and the family, and on the possible return of the mortal remains of our late president, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, Zambia's 6th president. I was having an interview just with SABC just before I came live, and SABC were asking me that this man said he had no vision. I said, you can imagine how alarming it was for us who are his campaigners. We are thick in the campaign, and the president is on radio, he's saying, I have no vision. But this is what he meant. He said, my president has died. My president had a 10-year vision. Why would I bring my own vision? He said, the party has an adopted manifesto by the Central Committee and by the party. And it's a good, ambitious manifesto. I've participated in it. Why should I have my own vision? This is a man that believed in the collective. This is not a man that said I. He's not a man that kept on saying I. He's a man that believed in the collective. If the collective said, let's do this, he respected that. So God bless you. God bless our country. We'll see you tomorrow.
As the sunlight breaks through the grief that blankets our nation, I bow my head in solemn reflection, not only as a former cabinet minister, but as one who walked, served, and leant under the steady and humble leadership of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. His passing is not just the loss of a former head of state. It is the silence of a heart that beat for the people. A heart that, though often misunderstood, remained anchored in service, compassion, and peace. President Lungu not only led with a loud declaration, but with quiet resolve. At a time when politics around the world grew bitter and divisive, he stood firm, not in arrogance, but in grace. He taught us that leadership is not about the spotlight, but about bearing the weight of a nation with dignity and restraint. He bore that weight for you, for me, for Zambia. I was privileged to serve under his administration. I watched firsthand his deep concern for the ordinary Zambian, the farmer in the field, the youth seeking opportunity, the mother building a home, marketeers, and all that needed his hand. He never merely chased leadership, but leadership chose him, as can be testified at his first election in 2015. An anointed son of the soil to bear burdens of the people. He did not fight for himself, he fought for Zambia. And now on this day, we do not mourn as a people without hope. We remember that a life poured out in service is never lost. It is planted. And from it grows courage, unity, and a renewed call for us all to live lives that matter. To the family, I offer my prayers. To the nation, I pray for unity, love, and peace to honor his legacy. Let us honor him, not just with words, but with action. Let us be leaders in our homes, in our communities, in our hearts. Let us choose peace. Let us choose unity. Let us carry Zambia and our dreams together. Rest well, Your Excellency. Your journey on earth is complete, but your legacy marches on. God bless Zambia as well.
Wakulekela we